Want to stay up to date with everything that's happening on the show? Or do you have a story that you'd like to submit for one of our Listener Stories episodes? You can get in touch with the show via the website at www.hauntedukpodcast.com, on Instagram at hauntedukpodcast, on X at hauntedukpod, or you can email us at contactus@hauntedukpodcast.com. We're also on Facebook and TikTok. And if you want to support the show, you can do it via either Patreon or Ko-fi. Both platforms have exactly the same content, but work in slightly different ways. One of the advantages of Patreon is its sleek user interface, but if you want to avoid those pesky additional charges Apple, Google, and Patreon apply to your subscription, then why not give Ko-fi a try? Simply open a browser window and type ko-fi/Haunted UK Podcast. That's Ko-fi/Haunted UK Podcast, and you'll soon find us. Whichever platform you choose, we're sure you'll enjoy the bonus content. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the episode. This is the Haunted UK Podcast's Short Haunts. Welcome, dear listeners, to our series of short haunts, a shot of scary, just for you. So grab a hot chocolate, maybe a tea, or maybe something stronger, because this is Haunted UK Podcast's Short Haunts, a tale of two sightings. Earlier in Season 5, episodes 44 and 48 to be exact, we heard from many listeners who worked in the emergency services in the armed forces, and their stories of encounters with the paranormal. Literally all of these dealt with cases of apparitions, poltergeist activity, ominous and dark atmospheres, and even in the case of one serving soldier in the army, the sighting of a strange and unidentified creature whilst on tour in Afghanistan. But we were not fortunate enough to receive an account from an emergency service worker who'd had the experience of a UFO sighting. Until now. We've seen many times that the police and members of the armed forces are extremely credible witnesses. They're trained to be observant, logical, and calm in all types of situations. The wrong decision or lack of understanding of the environment and atmosphere that they're in can be disastrous, which is why their training is paramount. Cases of police officers witnessing UFOs is probably not an uncommon occurrence, but cases where the said officers have actually come forward to report their sightings definitely is an uncommon occurrence. Rare incidents such as the Lonnie Zamora sighting in Socorro, New Mexico, and Alan Godfrey's experiences in Todmorden, West Yorkshire, immediately spring to mind, but as already pointed out, these are rare. Many members of both the police force and the armed forces would sooner keep their sightings out of the professional and public eye for the simple fear of ridicule and also the implications which it may have on their jobs. We've heard so many times of airline pilots who've come forward and gone public with their sightings of UFOs only to be grounded and demoted to desk jobs. This short haunt deals with an ex-police officer who witnessed not one UFO, but two, and these sightings were both witnessed by other officers. They also took place years apart, so without any further delay, let's hand this over to our anonymous listener. Steve, as promised, here are the 2 UFO experiences that I witnessed during my service in the police force. Although I'm in my 50s and have since left the force, the other witnesses are still police officers, but are happy for me to relay our experiences as long as they, and I, remain anonymous. I have to say that since we all experienced these events, which we did not report to the control room, we have learned that police do actually take these sightings seriously, and that there is a special form that gets sent to the Ministry of Defense following logging. That said, it is still not the done thing to go over the air with such occurrences, as the repercussions, perceived or otherwise, are not favourable amongst colleagues. However, the same ridicule does not always apply when it comes to ghost sightings. So, the district, the location and our names cannot be divulged. Suffice to say, my station served, and still does, a very large rural area full of little villages, market towns, and one historic city. My colleague and I were out one blowy and drizzly dark February evening. We were on a uniformed high-vis patrol in a marked police vehicle in a rural location that is prone to fly tipping, poaching, and night hawking. That's illegal metal detecting. It was close to midnight, and we were heading back over the hill back to the station for the end of that particular shift. I was concentrating on the road conditions, dark, wet, muddy and single track with high banks abutting farmers' fields. You really do not want to have an accident or mishap, what is known as a PVI, Police Vehicle Incident, as the paperwork, as well as hanging around for a sergeant to come out and inspect the damage, etc., is too much hassle. Had I been 01, alone, I would not have even noticed what my colleague witnessed. My colleague Tim shouted, "What on earth is that?" "Dunno," I said. "I'm too busy concentrating on the road." He became excited and told me to back the vehicle up. Not easy on that road in a Nissan Navara. He was very insistent and said, "There's something really weird in the sky." I saw nothing in the wing mirror, and being the dutiful rule-abider I was, he got out of the car and saw me backwards, as you're supposed to do. Once I stopped, I got out. The cold and wet made this instantly regrettable, until I saw what he was shining our maglite at. My first reaction made sense for only a few seconds due to the sheer inclement conditions. That it was some form of bird scarer. It was an odd one if that's what it was. I estimated that this thing was the size of a small vehicle, and an upright barrel shape, with a base that I can only describe as a jelly mould. It was matte black and stationary, about 30 feet in the air, and about 30 feet away from us over the farmer's field. A blue piece of plastic bag was stuck in a bush, flapping away in the wind, and in an almost horizontal driving drizzle, but this thing in the air was static, and it made no sound. I retrieved my torch, a very powerful one at that, and we both searched the object and around it, all the way to the ground for any sign of some sort of tether or fixing. We saw nothing, and it got weirder. Without a sound, it moved sideways to the right about 15 feet and stopped dead again. It then swiveled slowly to the right, about 90 degrees by my reckoning, then moved downwards diagonally to the right in silence at a 45-degree angle. It stopped again, about 10 feet or so from the field. The barrel then silently descended, before it did something totally weird. Instead of landing, or coming to rest, it appeared to sink into the ground. We both, without thinking about it, scrambled up the side and into the field, keeping an eye on exactly where it landed. There was nothing there. We must have plodded around for a good 10 minutes without torches, getting soaked looking for it, but nothing. When we finally got back to the station, we spoke about it to two fellow officers, who were very open-minded about it. If time and deployments allowed, we agreed to reattend the next afternoon to examine the scene in daylight. Thankfully, it was a much nicer day with some blue sky, and therefore a lot easier to see. The four of us looked around, but there was absolutely no sign of anything or anywhere this thing could be hidden or obscured. We kept quiet until a few years later, about 2018, when I was involved with a second occurrence. This involved myself and my friend, who was then temporary acting sergeant. All the hassle without the pay. Anyway, this was mid-autumn and a slightly foggy evening. Again, we were heading out at about 8 p.m. after our lunch break. We actually managed to get that one evening. And we're off to check up on a few hotspots, what we call a targeted patrol. We made our way out of the village into the sticks and through woodland. We crossed a junction and down the incline, and I already commented on the illusion of distant car lights being exaggerated by the wispy autumn fog that was common there. Our banter came to an abrupt stop, however, when we were greeted by a number of bright, colourful columns of light shooting up into the sky from behind the hedges of a field. What a night for an illegal rave, I complained. That was all we needed. Blue lights, orange, green, all going up. We made a right turn, down another little road, in the hope that we could access the field this way in order not to be seen. We had to discern numbers in case we needed some more units to attend. Our hearts were sinking. We ended up coming to a dead end, as the farm was closed, with two very large and wide metal gates. We were not getting in that way. The lights could clearly be seen shooting up. I had my friend turn off the engine for a moment, so we could hear what was happening as the lights were near. Surely we would get a better idea. Silence. Not a word. This we found odd. It could not be the oncoming lights from the distant B-road crossroads. We turned a circle and headed back out onto the road, and we headed down. By the time we turned onto the road, the coloured light show had stopped. My sergeant then started to freak out as we headed down the road. He was certain he could see something between the trees. There's something there. There's something there, look! I saw illuminated fog. We stopped at a brilliantly placed passing place and sat and stared. He was right. There were two massive bare trees flanked by smaller unruly bushes and hedges, as well as shorter, spindlier trees. There was a row of power pylons running through the field, and between the trees and next to the pylon was what I can only describe as a silver wedge or triangle. It had 4 dull orange lights or portals on each side. Imagine looking at a cheese wedge head-on. It had structure. It was metallic. It was silent. We stepped out of the patrol car. To simply gawk. Jesus. What is it? Like in the blink of an eye, it disappeared. Just gone. Nowhere to be seen. My friend was in shock, but I was more intrigued, and was first into that field over a dip with my torch in an instant. Needless to say, there was nothing to see. No signs of anything being there. We kept quiet about it, but continued our regular patrol. We headed back a bit early to finish some paperwork, and one of our brilliant special constables followed us soon after. He asked how our evening went. He was on the night shift and wanted to know how things had been. Well, I was surprised when my friend openly told him what we'd seen. Our special stood silently for a few seconds, then replied, "Yeah, funny you say that. We were chasing lights in the sky last night around the city. They had power blackouts as well. Don't know what they were, but there you go." We looked at each other. The thing we saw had been by the power lines. We still talk about it today, and he laughs and says it still freaks him out to think about it. Now, I'm not saying these were alien. Who knows? But they were nothing like I'd ever seen before. Until my colleague, who was party to the first encounter, found an image online of a very similar UFO to what we saw on that cold, drizzling night. This was seen and photographed in Texas, in daylight. Very odd. I'm aware of another sighting by a team of Country Watch officers who were out on an operation in the New Forest. One, a saucer-shaped object, hovered overhead for a good 5 minutes. They did report this, as all of them saw it. The report was taken seriously, and a report did go to the Ministry of Defense. But that's all I know. I hope that you enjoyed these stories. Thank you for keeping us anonymous. I hope this, if you choose to read them out, will encourage other officers, retired, serving or otherwise, to discuss their cases. I'm sure that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of similar tales to tell. All the best, Steve. A magnificent podcast. Love every single one. So what were these objects seen by the witnesses? Were they experimental aircraft belonging to the British military? Or were they of extraterrestrial origin? We'll probably never know for sure, but it does seem very strange that one of these objects was witnessed near power pylons, and also reported by the Special Constable, who said that parts of the city was subject to blackouts, while they were chasing strange lights. Then there's the photograph of the UFO in Texas, which was found by our listener's colleague, which was very similar to the object that they both saw. Could this have been something being tested by the American military, which was also being tested in the UK? We could continue to speculate for hours and hours, but it probably wouldn't get us anywhere nearer the truth than we are now. But what we definitely do know to be factual is that two strange objects were seen by our listener and other witnesses. And that brings me to ask the question which our listener hinted at the end of their story. Are you a serving or retired police officer, or a member of the other emergency services? Have you seen a UFO? Something strange in the sky that completely defied explanation? A silver, silent triangle with an array of lights? Or a strange matte black barrel-shaped object which strangely seeped into the ground? Or anything at all you could not explain? You want to say the word UFO or UAP, but you're not sure you can. But you know it's odd, and you know it flies, but it also flies in the face of any rational explanation, and it's always unnerved you, stayed with you. If you have, then why not get in touch with the show and share your story? If you do, you never know. The next person to be the subject of a short haunt could be you.